For over a century, cars have made our world go round. We've built billions of them. Thanks to evolving technology, they're made quicker and more intricately than ever before.
We have more than 1 trillion different possible combinations.
Any variation of color, of material that you can think of, we can actually replicate in these rooms.
Nowhere are the stakes higher than in the world of luxury and bespoke cars.
We could potentially have a scrap car. It is that critical.
In this series, we'll see 5 iconic cars built from scratch. From bare metal to finished product. Using high-tech robots and clever techniques that are hundreds of years old.
We have a customer who has a piece of moon rock. We will be painting his Valkyrie in moon rock dust paint. It doesn't get more extreme than that.
This time, an Italian super saloon, the Maserati Quattroporte. At 5 meters long, it's part limo, and with the Ferrari engine inside, it's part supercar too.
When you hear the roar of a car, you know that a Maserati is on the way.
Loaded with luxury materials.
We have interior silk, 100% silk on the seats.
Sold on Italian passion.
If you can evocate emotions, for me, is the best goal for a Maserati design.
And offered with options to make each customer feel special.
Every customer wants his or her own Maserati.
We'll see one car built from scratch. It'll need a chassis, engine, paint job, interior, and thousands of other parts, all put in together in just the right order and at exactly the right time, before undergoing a thorough shakedown, on road and on track.
È sicuramente il mestiere più invidiato in tutta la fabbrica.
This is how to build a Maserati. The Quattroporte has been Maserati's flagship saloon for over 50 years. The idea behind it was simple.
We took a Maserati racing engine and we put it inside the body of a sedan. It is a sport car thanks to the engine inside the body, but also a luxury car because of the roominess of the interior.
Just outside of Turin in Italy is Maserati's assembly plant, where 65 finished cars leave every day for around 80 different countries. The car we'll follow will spend 31 hours in build here. It's being made for a customer who wants the biggest V8 engine, passion blue paint, a tan leather interior, and 21-inch wheels. Total cost, £122,500. The heart of the operation is the assembly shop, where 350 people work. Here, painted bodies enter and finished cars leave after 12 hours, traveling on a complex route of lines and tracks that look like a theme park ride for cars. Each car accumulating around 1,300 individual parts along the way. But before our car can enter assembly, it's going to need its body.
Ok. Prosegue alla grande, problemi zero. Tutto a posto? Tutto a posto. Perfetto. Ci troviamo nella prima parte dell'unità allastratura. Qui nasce la scocca, dove viene assemblata la prima particolarità che è l'ossatura anteriore.
This is the most automated area of the entire plant, with 86 robots. But the first step of the giant jigsaw, to make the body in white, is done by hand.
Gli addetti prelevano la prima parte dell'ossatura anteriore, da qui parte già una scocca con un cliente assegnato e con le specifiche richieste.
Next, the floor pieces are joined together, partly by spot welding, a way of permanently fusing metal together using extreme heat, and partly with a super strong adhesive. This makes the base of the car. Then the frame, essentially the skeleton of the car, is added with more robotic spot welds. Next, the panels need to be assembled. The doors, bonnet and roof. But here it's not as simple as welding and gluing. The car's panels are made from aluminium. It's lighter than steel, so the car won't be as heavy, and it doesn't rust. But welding the aluminium to the steel frame is much more difficult than welding steel to steel. So Maserati adopt an aerospace technology, riveting.
Abbiamo 6 robot che lavorano contemporaneamente in 3 fasi separate, dove avviene il completamento dei tuker, dei rivetti metrici, e in questo caso abbiamo una variante che oscilla tra i 270 e i 300 tuker in base alle specifiche dell'autotelaio, in base all'ordine richiesto.
The rivets are forced into 2 panels of metal. This pulls the panels tightly together, holding them permanently.
E quindi qui procedono con questo assemblaggio, dopodiché il robot completa la lavorazione, la porta viene estratta dall'isola automatica ed è pronta per essere assemblata sulla scocca.
Finally, the doors are hung onto our car. A lift assister takes the weight of the doors, whilst the technician locates it and secures it with 2 bolts.
E vediamo come si trasforma il nostro autotelaio iniziale in una bella 4 porte Maserati.
After 3,000 welds and around 300 rivets, the car body is complete. Maserati's USP is its Italianism. Their cars aren't sold as just saloons or SUVs. They're described by the company as Italian masterpieces.
There isn't an Italian ingredient, there is an Italian approach to the project, a culture of the project that is typical of an Italian way of living.
When ordering a Quattroporte, a customer will be given a number of options. There's diesel or petrol, V6 or V8. Our car will eventually be a V8 petrol. But the engine type isn't the only choice available.
We offer a range of calipers, wheels, interior refined materials.
We have interior silk, 100% silk on the seats.
We have the possibility to combine all the material and create more than 200,000 combinations. So it is almost impossible to spot a Quattroporte identical to another one.
One important decision to make is the paint color. Our customer has chosen passion blue. Next door to the body shop is the paint shop, another highly automated area of the plant where a new car body enters every 6 minutes. Our car will spend the next 13 hours here. But before anything can happen, our paint experts need to be dust-free. They don't want to get any bits of dirt in the nice paint. The first step for our car is a good clean. Followed by a blow dry.
Esce la scocca dalla linea di pretrattamento, finisce all'interno di questa vasca per immersione, dove per un processo elettrochimico la vernice si deposita sulle lamiere, sia sulle parti esterne che sulle parti interne. Questo gli permette di essere protetta per la corrosione.
This giant tank of primer provides the undercoat. It'll give our car added protection from the elements and help the base coat of paint stick to the body.
E la vernice viene cotta a una temperatura media di circa 150 gradi per il tempo necessario per far essiccare la vernice e quindi polimerizzare.
After drying off, the car is brushed with giant feather dusters made from thousands of plumes of emu feathers. Incredibly, in this high-tech factory, this natural material, coupled with jets of ionized air, is the most effective way to remove static electricity that could cause unwanted particles to stick to the car and spoil our perfect paint. And the next robot is equally unusual looking.
Vediamo dell'applicatore che sembrano, diciamo, delle corna, ma in realtà o dita, come vogliamo indicarle.
The enamel, or base coat, the layer of paint that has the color in it, is applied electrostatically, charging the paint particles with electricity to make them stick to the car like a magnet.
Lì c'è sostanzialmente una tensione che si attesta dai 50 ai 70 kV, proprio per polarizzare e caricare la vernice nel momento in cui esce dall'applicatore.
Finally, the transparent top layer, known as resin, is applied, completing our car's blue paint job.
La scocca in questa fase entra nella zona degli esterni resina. Come possiamo vedere, l'effetto di questa vernice è molto opaco, ma grazie a quella stazione l'applicazione trasparente su tutta la scocca la rende brillante, bellissima.
Any imperfections in the paint are now corrected, and our painted shell is now ready to become a car. The main assembly line puts together 65 cars every single day. Some will be Quattroportes, like our car. Others will be its smaller sister, the Ghibli.
Every customer wants his or her own Maserati. That has to be different from another one.
And taking into account all the different options available for each car, there are a total of 7,000 different types of car part here.
Combined all together can generate, if we considering both Ghibli and Quattroporte, more than 1 trillion of different possible combinations.
All the correct components need to arrive at the right place on the line for every car, every time.
We want to make sure that everything goes smoothly.
And making sure that happens is Francesco and his trolleys.
There are a lot of particulars, so we made this trolley in order to help the jobs of an operator.
Francesco makes kits for each section of the line. The computer loaded with specifications chosen by the customer tells him the correct parts.
In this trolley, we have about 25-30 part numbers. So you can see that in every single part of this trolley we have a single photo picture in order to help the operator.
Complete with his first parts trolley, our Quattroporte leaves paint and enters the assembly shop. It's about to begin a mammoth journey through 111 stations in this building, gaining 1,300 bolts, screws, and other components as it travels. Every part has to be exactly right.
We have to guarantee the maximum precision, and the installation must be perfect.
And the deadline is looming. We're inside Maserati near Turin in Italy, following the build from start to finish of a Quattroporte. Maserati has been producing cars for over 100 years. This Italian brand is steeped in racing heritage. The first Maserati ever made, the Tipo 26, won the world's oldest sports car race, the Targa Florio in Italy. And in 1929, another early Maserati broke a world speed record, averaging over 150 miles an hour across a 10-kilometer distance. The race cars continued, with Maserati regularly giving Ferrari a run for their money. And the road cars followed, with elegant Grand Tourers and powerful saloons, styled by some of the most famous designers in Italy. Maserati's fortunes went up and down as the brand changed hands time and time again. But today, thanks to modern Italian design and engines provided by Ferrari, Maserati is selling more cars than ever before. The car we're following so far is just a body with a shiny paint job. It's far from finished. It's reached the start of the assembly line at trim, a term referring to the more decorative components, rather than the mechanical parts that actually make it drive.
Here we are in trim. Trim has a 26 workstation, and here works 52 people and 8 team leaders.
The very first job is to remove all the doors, giving better access to the interior.
The same doors that we disassemble, they are track. This is because the doors have to follow the vehicle.
This door will meet again the same cars in the final line.
In the trim line, we mainly assemble front and rear engine wiring cables, safety belts, and also HVAC.
HVAC is heating, ventilation, and air conditioning, an important component on an Italian car.
So in Italy, it's pretty hot, so that's why we use a lot air conditioning. So this is like really important for us.
Next to go into the car is the biggest component of all.
Here we prepare the dashboard. All parts are near or closer the assembly point. As you can see, it's possible to move all rack directly near the assembly point. Here is possible to move the dashboard in this way. As you can see, the dashboard changes the position and stop where I want.
It's not just the dashboard that can be rotated for comfortable access. Further down the line, the whole car will do the same. In fact, Maserati is very proud it provides comfortable ergonomic working positions. No sore backs here.
In this station, you can see the operator that works in a lifter. This is because he has to work in an ergonomic workplace, and this is the right place where he can work inside the body.
Our car's 19-kilogram dashboard gets built up in an hour by 10 people on its own mini-assembly line. It can now be inserted into the car. It's fitted using clever tooling, pre-programmed with the right angle and pressure for the screws that are being tightened up. But it's down to the operators to locate the dashboard just right. There's a tiny margin for error.
Partner put the dashboard in geometry, in the correct position. The tolerance is 0.5 millimeters. Now the lifter moves up the body, and now the operator can do the activity under the dashboard.
The time given to each station on this moving assembly line is 6 minutes. So every operator has precisely 6 minutes of jobs allocated to them. If anyone has a problem, there's a unique Maserati way to call a team leader and ask for help. They call it the operator call.
This is operator call. So some operator now has a little problem and call his team leaders that knows and this his song.
There are 8 team leaders working on this one line alone, and everyone has chosen their own favorite song to be their special operator call.
Okay, she is team leader. Stop the call.
The team leader can now investigate and solve the problem, keeping the line moving. Luckily, it isn't a problem with our car, which is ready for its windscreen. It's secured with tough adhesive that'll stay in place for the life of the car. It's a 3-minute job for this robot that installs 65 windscreens every day, and it's ultra-precise every time.
2 cameras are measuring the geometry of the body and define the correct position where the glasses will be installed. In this station, we have to guarantee the maximum precision about our system, and the installation must be perfect.
Meanwhile, on a different mini-assembly line, our car's doors are being built up with speakers, glass and wiring.
Since it's really complicated to assemble a door, we need a separate line because we have many electric components.
The final part is the door panel, precision fitted in this state-of-the-art plant with a hammer. The logistics department trolleys have ensured these panels are finished with the right materials, stitching and colours as specified by the customer. All cars are not the same.
For a Maserati customer, the exterior design is still in the first place. But if he doesn't or she doesn't appreciate the interior, probably he or she will not buy a second Maserati car.
If you look at the interior, you easily recognize that this is a Grand Sport because of the sport seats with the Pieno Fiore leather, which is a brand new element introduced last year, sport steering wheel, and you have also carbon fiber, and the car can be customized based on the desires of our customers.
There are over 200 different options for a Quattroporte, including 37 different interior colors. You could have red leather, black leather, tan leather, a higher grade of leather that's £4,500 more expensive, Alcantara headlining, wood inserts in the steering wheel, carbon fiber, even silk in the seats.
100% silk on the seats, and we are the unique brand as this content.
Giving the interior the right atmosphere and feel is vital for Maserati.
Perfect atmosphere for a sensorial experience, for a well-being experience. So this has been the concept from the beginning, to create a car that was at the same time a living room.
While the inside of the car is a living room, the outside of the car is all about proportion.
There is not a kind of static proportion, it's a kind of dynamic proportion. Usually of Maserati cars is very strong, very sporty oriented. The side is normally something that is evocating elegance and timeless beauty. And the rear is something that is related to the world of the premium cars like other historical brands.
Whilst the Quattroporte is a big saloon, or sedan, the designers wanted to have the feeling of a sporty coupe to match its powerful Ferrari engine.
It is a sport car thanks to the engine inside the body, but also a luxury car because of the roominess of the interior.
The car's C-post, the pillar between the rear windscreen and the door, is one area where the designers mix sports car with saloon car.
And this kind of C-post is something that is very common, but in the world of the coupes, but is not typical in the world of the sedan.
The driving pleasure is very important for us. I mean, the possibility to drive every day a sport and a powerful car without forgetting the comfort for both passengers and driver.
Our car has so far been travelling on what's called a skillet along the moving trim assembly line. It's now ready to move on to the chassis line, where it's automatically transferred onto carriers.
In this line, the body hangs on the line. This is due to the fact that we need to perform some operations under body.
First is the parcel shelf install. On this line, the car is always followed by an automated dolly, preloaded with all the correct parts.
In this workplace, you can see the dolly that follow the vehicle. So every component is in the right position and also in an ergonomic position because we install sensors that can track the right position of the dolly. It's like our little Maserati.
These carriers first put the car on its side for installation of the pipes that will eventually carry the fuel from the petrol tank at the back of the car to the engine, which is at the front, and the pipes that will carry brake fluid from the front of the car to the brakes on the rear wheels. This slow-motion roller coaster ride then lowers the body to around half a meter from the ground.
We need the body closer to the floor because we have to install battery and other things.
The final component on this line is the 103-centimeter long center console, one of the largest parts inside the car. It's fitted with 10 fastenings in precisely 2.5 minutes. Time's running out, but the team still have the massive task to build the entire lower half of our Quattroporte with everything that'll make it move, including, of course, its Ferrari engine.
For us, this is the heart of our car.
We're following the build from start to finish of an Italian super saloon, the Maserati Quattroporte. We've seen the body assembled by robots, the paint applied, and lots of wiring, components and safety items fitted to the interior. But our car still looks like this. It's missing its bottom half. The mechanics. In most of the markets the Quattroporte is offered, there's a choice of 2 diesel and 3 petrol-powered engines. Some of the petrols, Maserati are proud to say, come from Ferrari, a brand famed for its performance, sound, and of course Italian passion. It's a real selling point for petrol-head customers.
Sono motori originari Ferrari, quindi con alte prestazioni sia per quanto riguarda impatto in accelerazione che per tutto quello che riguarda appunto la guida della vettura.
In mechanical, there are 3 main areas.
The first part of this area we prepare suspension and brake system.
The brakes are made up of a brake disc with a caliper poised around it. When the brake pedal is pushed in the car, it's this caliper clamping onto the disc that stops the car. The front and rear brakes can be assembled in just 2.5 minutes. So to fill the 6-minute allocated takt time for every station, the guys here also put together the rear suspension. The second station in mechanical is where the engine and gearbox come together. This is our car's Ferrari engine. It has 8 cylinders and produces 530 horsepower, meaning the car will be able to reach 60 miles per hour in under 5 seconds and on to a top speed of 192. It's this performance as well as the sound the engine makes that appeals to a lot of Quattroporte fans.
Il motore V8 è praticamente il motore principale, quello più potente che noi abbiamo appunto come motorizzazione ed è importante appunto per il sound che quindi trasmette tramite le tubazioni.
Specific for Maserati, the noise, the feeling when you drive the car. For Maserati is a must.
The sound is unique because when you hear the roar of a car, you don't need to see which car is it because you know that a Maserati is on the way.
Finally, everything comes together in the decking area.
There, on the main pallet, there is all mechanical system that will be ready to be married with the body.
Nella parte finale della meccanica fuoriesce tutta quella che è la parte di meccanica del motore, albero di trasmissione, serbatoio combustibile unito alla traversa posteriore.
After its time in the mechanical area, we're left with this. At the front is the engine that will produce the power and turn the selected gear in the gearbox. That'll turn the prop shaft which connects to the wheels, driving the car. Along with brakes for stopping and suspension for comfort, we've got a full powertrain.
So this is a really important part of the whole process because in this workstation the mechanical parts is assembled to the body.
So in this place the body becomes a car.
The marriage is the coming together of the body and the powertrain. In other words, joining the top half of the car where you sit with the bottom half that produces all the power. It's vital to get the marriage absolutely right. These two halves of our car need to fit and stay together for a very long time. There's no margin for error, so everything is computer controlled, even down to the number of times each of the 42 bolts fixing body to powertrain are turned. After the 6-minute marriage process, our car is still only around 3/5 of the way through the factory, but it now finally resembles a car. At the 100,000 square meter plant, 65 cars are produced every day, including our Quattroporte. 1,700 people work here, and it's a workforce that's older than you might expect.
So the average age is not low, because we have 50 years old as average age in our plant. But considering the attention to the design of the workstation, basically we make all the operation easy to perform. So this is the key and the winning point of our production process.
Assembly line employees only stay on one station for a maximum of 7 months at a time. They're regularly rotated so they can be skilled in different areas. And components and processes change regularly as all Maserati models are tweaked at least a little bit every year.
For me, it's very important to try to transfer some of the iconic elements that we had also in the cars in the past.
The design team might decide to restyle a bumper, or to make a new type of wheel, or redesign the dashboard.
We do every day challenge to the technical team, to the manufacturer, because it's our way of working, but not only our way of living, is to look for new ideas, to experiment every day, something different. So we create new challenge, new inputs for the team, and sometimes we obtained good results, sometimes not.
Back on the assembly line, time is running out to finish our car, and it's about to receive its final components.
So here we are in the final assembly line. This is where we perform filling operations such as refrigerant gas, coolant, and fuel. The process is fully automated.
The front seats are fitted in the tan-colored leather chosen by our customer. Then an important test of the electrical systems to make sure all the different gadgets work inside our car.
In this moment, the operator is checking all electrical connection and all things that due to the infotainment system. We are at the end of the assembly unit. In this area, we arrange the quality check.
So after these quality checks, the vehicle goes to the wheel alignment.
The horn works. One last and important check. Does the car start?
Now, here we are ready to hear the first word of this car, of this baby.
It's the penultimate stage of our Quattroporte build, and the most nail-biting. This will determine if the car is 100% correct, or if there's been a mistake somewhere along this complex build route.
The person who is in charge about this activity is using a tablet and is checking all the features of the cars in terms of conformity. I mean, data of engine, tires, and all data are insert into the tablet.
In total, there are 700 different checks. It's like a super MOT.
So our colleagues are checking all the features of the car and the specific components and parts for every market. For example, the front lights data, the wheels features, the VIN number that is visible on the windscreen.
4 cars per day are taken away at random for an even more thorough inspection.
This is the metrology room. This is very quiet. Also, there is always same temperature inside, air conditioned. The temperature and the humidity are very, very important to avoid any kind of deformation on the metal sheets. The aim of this metrological room is to grant that all the metal parts that we use for the production of our cars are absolutely in the standard of the projects. We use special tools with laser gauge. So the laser is focusing on these dedicated points of the body, is taking the values, so the machine is able to give a feedback in terms of quality of the skin of the metal body. Our colleagues is looking at the results of the machine, and it's looked very good.
Our car hasn't been selected for the spot check. It's having its interior inspected.
It's very important to avoid any wrinkles on all the parts of the seat.
From the pull-down sunblind to the right badges on the boot door, everything, both aesthetic and functional, must be checked. And like most, it's passed. All 700 boxes have been ticked. The car's reward, a nice wash. Still to come is the hardest test of all. A tough 35-kilometer drive on the road and the track.
È sicuramente il mestiere più invidiato in tutta la fabbrica.
We've seen one Maserati Quattroporte go from pieces of metal to a finished car that's almost ready to roll out the door. Our car is complete with passion blue paint and a V8 Ferrari engine, and, according to Maserati, it also comes complete with the indefinable Italian soul.
We are a made-in-Italy brand. We are unique. We are different from our competitors because we don't sell millions of cars. We sell thousands of cars, but that's the reason of our uniqueness.
The Italian is culture, is history, is a soul, is emotion. So there are a lot of aspects that we try daily to put in our cars.
Being designed and made in Italy is what attracts fans of both brand new Maseratis and lovers of their back catalogue. 300 kilometers south of the Turin plant is Modena, an area known for two very Italian things: food and supercars. It's the location of Maserati's HQ and just down the road from Ferrari. It's also home to a Parmesan farm that happens to house one of the most impressive collections of classic Maseratis, the Panini Museum.
When every single morning I open the doors of this special museum, I'm so proud to represent this in particular.
Giovanni's father, Umberto Panini, was a lifelong fan of the brand who'd grown up near the Maserati factory. He founded this collection in 1996 when the opportunity came up to buy 19 classic Maseratis. The cars have been part of Maserati's official collection, but were going to be sold at auction in London.
Every single day of his life, he showed and saw the Maserati cars, racing cars, that drive up to the streets. And then so for himself, Maserati represent, I think, a very, very great part of his life.
With the news of the auction, the mayor of Modena intervened. The city didn't want to lose this part of its history. It was Umberto who stumped up the cash to save the cars, keeping them where they belonged.
When the Maserati arrived here, everything for us changed, because this kind of place started to be famous thanks to the Maseratis. And so we was very, very place of interest for every single great fan of this specific brand in particular. The masterpiece of this collection, for sure, is the Berlinetta, the stunning and incredible body that represents, I think, that's a state of art for the design. In 2014, during the centenary of Maserati, this car in particular, the 2056, won the beauty contest, and it was declared the great Maserati, one of the greatest Maserati produced in the history of this great manufacturer.
Another prized piece is the 1958 Eldorado, a single-seater racer entirely paid for by the Eldorado Ice Cream Company.
It was intention of the owner of this ice cream factory to promote himself using this specific vehicle. It was born thanks to a specific kind of race.
The race was called the 500 Miles of Monza. The driver was Sir Stirling Moss.
Unfortunately, the car was not so good for Maserati for the 400M. 40 laps before the end, Moss take an accident, destroyed the car.
Despite the crash, the Eldorado finished the race in 7th place and went on to compete for Maserati in the USA. Its unusual history makes it one of the rarest cars here. Of course, the collection also houses a classic Quattroporte. This one is from 1989. And how does Signore Panini think the new Quattroporte compares?
These two Quattroportes represent the past and the present of Maserati, of course. It's full of history, it's full of Maserati brand.
Maybe it'll be a museum piece one day. Back in Turin, our car is in a queue waiting for the very final part of the process. It's already been tested to make sure it's the right spec, color, wrinkle-free seats, and of course to check everything works. But before any car leaves the plant, it needs to complete the biggest test of all, to make sure it actually drives. Next in line for test driving is this grey car. Like the car we've followed, it's the most powerful 530 horsepower V8.
Fare il test drive in Maserati è una cosa unica, è sicuramente il mestiere più invidiato in tutta la fabbrica, perché ti permette di provare sensazioni di guida uniche.
It's part road test and part track test. 35 kilometers in all to make sure nothing squeaks or rattles and that the car can perform as it should.
Collaudare le Maserati su strada è molto importante per verificare le prestazioni elevate della vettura, per garantire che la vettura con le sue complessità, con le sue dinamicità, sia al massimo livello per il cliente.
If you happen to live in this suburb of Turin, the all-important Maserati sound must just be a part of everyday life.
Sicuramente una cosa bella di queste vetture è quando sei su strada e hai gli scarichi in modalità sport, tutti si girano a sentire il rumore, il rombo del V8, del V6. La Quattroporte è veramente unica da guidare perché è una macchina molto imponente, molto grande, ma ti dà una sicurezza e una prestazione di guida veramente invidiabile.
If a rattle or defect is found at this stage, it's back to the factory, where the problem gets rectified. before another round of quality control and test driving. Like our car, this one is given the thumbs up and can now be transported to its waiting customer. This is the end of the build journey for the Quattroporte. Our blue car has come to life from bare metal in just over a day, collecting 1,300 individual components and passing all testing as it's moved through the plant.
For me, it's a life opportunity to work with the Maserati team because zero defects is our target.
We are proud to work here because this is Maserati, important symbol for our nation around the world.
Now its new owner will be asked to pay £122,500 for the privilege of being a Maserati driver.